Okay, it's Monday, October 31st. This is a end of the day SPY recap. It's also an end of the month SPY recap. First of all, on the daily chart, you can see here it was essentially a big nothing day. If you look at the big green bar from Friday and kind of the way it's been consolidating a little bit into last week, nothing happened today. It's an inside bar. So the inside bar to me means many people like to play breakouts, either up or below. I actually prefer to look for failures where it kind of fails to break out and then comes the opposite way, or it fails to go down and goes the opposite way. Often that's in line with whatever trend's in place. But either way, the question is, if you play the breakout, that's fine. But just be aware that you can get a failure on these kind of bars. Inside bars don't always mean consolidation continues strong kind of thing. But we'll find that out tomorrow and as the week goes on. So in terms of today, let's just look at some of the key highlights. Again, I wasn't surprised. If you've been following generally what's going on in the market, it's not surprising that we've come to an area where you might have a little bit of consolidation after this big green run-up. I talked about that in the opening comments. And what happened today, just looking at the 15-minute chart by itself, you could see here we paused on bar number one, didn't go anywhere, and then started down. But according to my methodology, which I have many videos here describing, we were nowhere near the midpoint, below the midpoint of the prior day. So when I see a down move that's above the midpoint of the prior day, I'm generally not that interested in going short. And if anything, I'm looking for kind of a red to green move. So in this case, the market had a big red bar, paused, and then green, and then kind of broke to the upside. I didn't particularly like that signal in terms of now we're going to be ready to go all the way to the top of the range, only because I was watching a lot of stuff. Sometimes you have to kind of go beyond just what the SPY is doing. You look at a whole bunch of stocks. I saw a lot of stocks were down big. So there wasn't really a strong rally in place where we were just making a quick move down after yesterday's green bar, and then we were immediately going to continue the momentum. So if anything, what happened was price then tried to pause, start lower again. It failed again, and then eventually started up again. At that point, I figured that, okay, maybe we're going to be heading up, at least to take out the intraday high. I bought Apple stock at the time. It was a small gain, and price did in fact move up, but then it failed again to really continue much past the key pivot here. Pre-market certainly didn't get to yesterday's high. And once it kind of had a drop down here again, I saw a Netflix trade that was for the short side, but the market itself never really moved anywhere, from the open. Essentially, it tried to go down, it tried to go up, and it just sort of stayed neutral. So that leads us to tomorrow. I'll get into that more market tomorrow. If we break down, are we going to really reach our target here? If we break to the upside, are we going to start continuation higher? We'll have to see. But what happens here now on the weekly chart, I still see, until we get below the midpoint of prior week, I still am biased to the upside. This green bar, it's somewhat testing higher, so we'll look for that. And now we have this month is over, October. We have a green bar. So again, I'm expecting a little bit of a probe higher after this kind of bar. It doesn't have to happen. Like here was a green bar, which wasn't quite as strong as this one. But this green bar, you can see here, it opened. You would think maybe, okay, you're going to follow through a little higher. It never reached its high. And then from the opening price, at some point, maybe it probed up for a day or two, never really reached a two up kind of condition. And then all month long it went down. So what we're going to have tomorrow, let me zoom in, is an opening price on the monthly bar, a new opening price. I'll mark it with this green line wherever it ends up. Let's say it's over here, and at that point we'll be able to reference all month long, are we above or below that line? And until things change, I'm expecting us to, given this bar here, to kind of probe a little higher, see if we can follow through to that next target up here, which is September's high. If not, then we might get some kind of failure. But anyway, we'll know the opening price tomorrow, which will be a key determinant as to continuity, for trades for the month of November. So we'll keep an eye on that. That starts tomorrow. Weekly chart again. Till we get the halfway point to the downside, I'm going to expect a little bit probe higher, and even this, daily bar, inside bar. So I'll look for the probe. We'll see where the pre-market action is tomorrow, and if we at least get that higher. But at that point, it's interesting if we continue or fail, and we'll get into that more tomorrow. So again, today, it was the type of day where if you were just trading this purely without even knowing context and all these other, time frame considerations, I wouldn't have went short here because you're below, or above the halfway point of yesterday. And if you want to call this your red to green move, which I didn't like, but let's just say you wanted to do it, if nothing else, once you see a red to green move, your first target is always that opening bar high, and then you see if you continue or fail up towards, which would have been yesterday's high. So you certainly, if you got long here, you did get a move enough to at least either take very small gains or set up a no-risk trade, and then it didn't follow through anywhere. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But again, this is essentially just a Monday that decided to consolidate, very narrow range, and we'll discuss more what that means after we watch, as we watch overnight action and pre-market action tomorrow morning.